Eat a Snickers.
Why?
Because you turn into a right diva when you're hungry.
Get out your flip phone and fire up the DVD player because we're checking out the top 19 candies that defined the 2000s. Y2K may have come and gone, but some of these sweet treats are still on shelves today. So which one would you put atop Millennium Mountain?
Put in my mouth.
Bertie Bott's Every Flavor Beans.
They mean every flavor.
Few things define the 2000 pop culture experience more than 8 movies, 7 books, and 4 syllables, Harry Potter. So of course the popular phenomenon branched its merchandising machine into the candy world too. Based on the comedic candies from the book and film series where a character accidentally invented jelly beans that tasted like a soiled sock, Bertie Bott's Every Flavor Beans provided a roller coaster experience for the taste buds. Manufactured by the Jelly Bean Masters at Jelly Belly, Every Flavor Beans debuted in the year 2000 and provided fans with more surprises than a game of Quidditch.
They shouldn't be playing Quidditch at all.
In addition to more traditional tastes like cherry, green apple, cinnamon, or blueberry, quote-unquote accidental flavors were mixed into the experience, including off-the-wall flavors like dirt, booger, earthworm, earwax, soap, sardine, and even vomit. The tastes were impossible to determine without the use of a magic wand, so the fun was had and the gross surprises hidden in each box of beans. The Harry Potter franchise has lasted long past the 2000s, even going strong today with video game releases like Hogwarts Legacy in 2023. So too has the magic remained with Bertie Bott's beans, available with 20 flavors in every box, but we'd suggest there's nothing magical about accidentally biting into a rotten egg-flavored jelly bean.
I've been cursed.
It's okay, he's not a Gryffindor.
Jelly Belly Bean Boozled.
You've been bamboozled!
Sure, Harry Potter was the king of the 2000s, but not everybody was into wacky wizardry. While the Potter-branded stylings of Bertie Bott's beans were a hit, they didn't cast a spell on everybody. The idea was good enough for Jelly Belly to do some creative restructuring and create another hit. The specific history of Jelly Belly-branded jelly beans dates as far back as 1866, with the first branded beans being sold in 1976. But the company didn't officially embrace the branding until renaming itself to the Jelly Belly Candy Company in 2001.
Bowl full of jelly. Pump lead in his belly.
6 years after that, and after seeing the success of the guessing game jellies, Jelly Belly introduced the Bean Boozled variety in 2007. Piggybacking off the Potter idea without the official crossover branding, Bean Boozled upped the mystery. Each colored bean could be one of 2 flavors, so you could be surprised by a green bean that tasted like either a delicious fruity pear or a booger, or a brown bean that might be cappuccino but could also be liver and onion. So even if non-magical muggles still want to be bamboozled, they can thank the 2000s for Bean Boozled.
They're made for muggles.
Crispy M&Ms.
Extra crispy.
The creation of M&Ms was inspired by Forrest Mars' time spent in military service overseas in Britain during the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s. Mr. Mars was captivated by soldiers snacking on what they referred to as chocolate beans, milk chocolate covered in an outer shell of harder chocolate that kept the candy from melting. This was the inspiration for the crispy and crunchy outer shell that kept M&Ms from melting in your hand instead of your mouth. And that satisfying bite became identifiable enough over the decades that it became time to double down on the delicious experience. Just in time for the new millennium, crispy M&Ms entered the world in May of 1999 and crunched their way into the early 2000s.
Stay crunchy, man. Stay crunchy.
Crispy M&Ms were slightly bigger than the classics due to a thicker shell and increased the crisp by adding a crunchy rice center. They left store shelves in 2005 after only 6 years in production, but like other iconic 2000 treats, popular demand returned crispy M&Ms to crunch cravers in 2015. We can leave dial-up internet in the 2000s, but that addictive M&Ms crunch needed to make a comeback to modern times.
The internet's not working. What?
Wonder Ball.
They have wonderful balls.
If you remember the feeling of finding a prize at the bottom of your cereal box, then this next candy will give you the same excitement. Except the prize hidden inside this candy is simply more candy. For Wonder Ball, the hollowed-out milk chocolate ball originally did contain miniature toy prizes when it debuted in the 1990s, and for a time even included licensed Disney figures inside. However, due to being designated a choking hazard for younger children, the Wonder Ball and others of its ilk, like the International Kinder Surprise, both came under fire from the Consumer Safety Product Commission and were pulled from the marketplace in 1997.
His hard candy shell is just hiding more candy.
But the fix was simple. If hungry kids are going to eat whatever is inside the Wonder Ball, just make sure it's edible. Thus, the plastic miniature toy prizes were swapped out with smaller candy, and Wonder Ball made its triumphant return in Y2K. Carrying on to define the rest of the 2000s, Wonder Ball released all sorts of variants of popular licensed children's properties beyond Disney, including global sensations like Pokémon and SpongeBob SquarePants.
This is the sweetest choking hazard anyone's ever given me.
Jolt Energy Gum.
We gotta jolt your nervous system.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Need a pick-me-up to get through the day? Then look no further than a 2000s chewable that brings the energy. Predating the energy drinks craze populated by names like Monster, Red Bull, and Rockstar, Jolt Cola got its start before the 2000s with its jarring debut in 1985. A coffee alternative in soda form, the slogan of all the sugar and twice the caffeine made Jolt Cola a hit, becoming a pop culture touchstone in the 1990s with parodies seen on Beavis and Butthead and The Simpsons, and product placement usage in box office hits, including Jurassic Park, Wayne's World 2, and Gremlins. The power went out in the 2000s, however, and the Jolt Cola Company rebranded to Jolt Energy in 2006.
Someone give me a Jolt Cola! It does not exist anymore!
That's where this candy comes in, with the introduction of Jolt Energy Gum, which is still going today, despite the cola division collapsing in 2009. With the product coming in icy mint and spearmint flavors, and even an option to pop mint flurry energy mints, the product took 2 years of research and development and more than 1,000 consumer tests before hitting the market, with each 10-piece pack carrying the same boost as 5 cups of coffee and delivering it 5 times faster than coffee, which needs to be digested. This bubblegum boost now finds itself in a crowded marketplace with other caffeine gums like Apollo Energy Gum, Neuro Energy Gum, Fly Gum, Jet Lag Energizer, Run Gum, and Think Gum. But dating back to the 2000s means we've got to give the jumpin' jazzed up advantage to Jolt.
It might be the Jolt Cola coursing through my body.
Before we get to more candy of the aughts, if it's your first time here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much.
We gotta get more candy!
Twizzlers.
We're a Twizzlers family.
While Y&Yes Candies had been producing traditional licorice since 1845, it wasn't until 1929 that Twizzlers were officially born. The original licorice taste stuck around until the 1970s, when now familiar flavors like cherry, strawberry, and grape came around. But the 2000s was when Twizzlers did its best work. Thanks to a popular 2001 commercial featuring an animatronic walrus and a Play First, Eat Later marketing campaign, they became that year's best-selling candy and started the decade off with a bang.
A big bang.
Both the Twizzlers Twerps and Twizzlers Straws varieties came out 3 years later in 2004, and in 2006 we were introduced to Rainbow Twist Twizzlers. In 2006, we also saw the sweet and sour-filled Twist Twizzlers, introducing the world to that fruity filling we still can't get enough of. No matter which type is your favorite, the exciting twists and turns of Twizzlers in the 2000s have had our taste buds tied up ever since.
He brought Twizzlers.
Willy Wonka's Wonderful Bars.
We need more Wonka bars.
An originally imaginary candy was front and center in the middle of the decade thanks to a movie tie-in based on a previous film that was based on a previous book that centered around chocolate. The Wonka bar was the centerpiece of a children's book published in 1964, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which featured kids winning a tour of the eccentric character Willy Wonka's candy factory if they found a golden ticket under the wrapper. Made into a major motion picture in 1971 under the title Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the candy bar got the chance to leap from the books and big screen into real life. The film was partially financed by the Quaker Oats Company, committing $3 million to the budget in exchange for exclusive manufacturing rights for Wonka bars.
We probably have rights!
However, Quaker Oats specialized in oatmeal and wouldn't even get into the granola bar business for another 10 years. So their attempt at branching out into chocolate became a disaster, with Wonka bars pulled from shelves before the movie came out thanks to having bad taste and worse texture. In the new millennium, a remake version of the film arrived in 2005, and by that point, the Wonka bar had been perfected by Nestle under the Willy Wonka Candy Company brand, which also manufactured Nerds, Sweet Tarts, and Laffy Taffy. A special line of Wonka bars was released for the movie, and golden tickets were hidden in various other Wonka products across a rollout of 60 million packages of candy that had a chance to win.
Your chances are very slim.
There were no factory tours, but prizes included shopping sprees, a European vacation, a sports camp trip, and $10,000 in cash. A flop in the 1970s finally realized its dream of giving out real-life golden tickets. And even though we think chocolate is exciting enough, 2000s kids had a shot at something even more fun thanks to the Wonka bar.
The great search for Wonka bars continues.
Jolly Rancher Lollipops.
There are no more Jolly Ranchers. They're all gone.
Hitting the shelves at the end of the 1990s, these updated versions of a classic from 1949 were perfectly timed to become a dominant delight in the 2000s. Originally, Jolly Rancher hard candies had been around as a sweetly suckable candy for half a century, so when they hit the 50th anniversary mark in 1999, it only made sense to go bigger for a big birthday.
It goes great with the Jolly Rancher I'm sucking on.
OG Jolly Ranchers were originally a set of 3 flavors featuring apple, watermelon, and fire sticks. And when Jolly Rancher Lollipops hit the scene in '99, they boasted apple, watermelon, and cherry tastes. Thanks to the circular pops being larger than the hard candies, they were advertised as having even longer-lasting flavors than their more cylindrical siblings. Staying popular well past their first decade, these days assorted bags include green apple, watermelon, cherry, and pink lemonade flavors that are sure to keep their customers feeling jolly for many decades to come.
For he's a jolly good fellow.
Hershey's Special Dark Miniatures.
I want it super big.
Hershey's milk chocolate celebrated its 100th anniversary when it blew out the birthday candles in the year 2000. But even at that ripe old age, the famous milk chocolate and the iconic brown wrapper was still introducing new ideas. Get out your flashlight, though, because some of them were a little darker than others. With Hershey's bringing milk chocolate mainstream in its early days, they had been manufacturing dark chocolate the whole time, too. Eventually adopting the name Hershey's Special Dark in 1971, the still satisfying but less sweet version from the famous chocolate brand was only sold in single bar form. But the 2000s changed that.
And make it bigger.
A limited release of Hershey Special Dark Miniatures sold well in 2003, and in 2006, the delightful dark chocolate assortment permanently entered the lineup. Still on shelves today, the bags of mini bars include Original Special Dark with crisp rice, and Special Dark with peanuts varieties that are just sweet enough for anyone looking to avoid the full sugar sensation of the milk chocolate versions. These dark chocolate candies are 45% cocoa and 100% delicious.
40%, 50%, 100%?
5 Gum.
How it feels to chew 5 Gum.
Here's something to chew on. Sugar-free 5 Gum burst onto the scene in 2007 and brought the excitement of a new millennium to a chewy treat that had already been around for centuries. 5 Gum was one of the first to embrace the new digital age of advertising through the use of viral marketing that is now commonplace, fully defining a generation of candy connoisseurs. Named 5 as a nod to the 5 human senses, the unorthodox Stimulate Your Senses marketing for this glorious gum featured commercials with pumping music and flashy lighting that could easily be mistaken for an ad for a nightclub. The packaging featured sleek, modernized black labeling, and the flavor names were more reminiscent of vehicles at a sports car dealership than the candy rack at the supermarket checkout.
Like Speed.
Cobalt, Rain, Flare, and Zing were the outside-the-box designations for classic gum tastes like peppermint, spearmint, cinnamon, and classic bubble gum. Fruit varieties including Elixir and Lush soon followed thanks to the marketing that was ahead of its time. But the gum itself was forward-thinking too. 5 Gum utilizes sugar-free flavor crystals in every stick to provide a longer-lasting flavor that maintains intensity compared to the competition. And just like those flavors, it's shown enough staying power to remain as popular as ever well past the 2000s.
Gum is meant to be minty and refreshing.
Reese's Take 5.
Everyone take a hot 5.
If you need a break from chewing that long-lasting 5 Gum, another number 5 favorite from the 2000s is standing by. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups have been around since the 1920s, but it was the 2000s that put a popular twist on an old favorite with the introduction of Reese's Take 5 candy bar. Introduced in December 2004, the Take 5 leveled up and loaded up the typical bar experience, overloading the taste buds with a 5-in-1 texture and taste extravaganza.
It has so many textures.
The Take 5 was very much named to position itself as the snack to choose when you're taking 5 from a long day, but also for the 5 ingredients that comprised it: chocolate, caramel, pretzels, peanut butter, and peanuts. And yes, that peanut butter was the namesake Reese's peanut butter from the cups we all know so well. To celebrate Take 5's sweet 16th birthday in 2020, the Hershey Company manufactured a Take 5 bar that entered the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest chocolate nut bar in history. At nearly 6,000 pounds and measuring 9 feet long, we'd need more than a 5-minute break to tackle this colossal chocolate creation.
Take your time.
Hershey Thingamajig.
Fancy thingamajigs, boy.
Introduced at the tail end of the decade, the 2009 release of Hershey's Thingamajig candy bar was inspired by the 1978 invention of the whatchamacallit. The names were similar in their ridiculousness, but the bars themselves were also practically twins. Whatchamacallit's 1970s flair of peanut crisp and peanut butter covered in milk chocolate gave way to a 2000 sister version in the Thingamajig that was more Choco-centric, using Cocoa Crisp instead of Peanut Crisp. But the tasty tag team barely got to know each other, as the Thingamajig's run was brief enough to be extinguished before the decade was out. Therein lies the mystery, as it popped up again in limited runs in 2011 and 2012, but never stuck around.
Where'd it go?
The Thingamajig was assumed lost forever, destined to never succeed outside of the 2000s. But in 2021, the debut of the Who's a What's It raised some eyebrows. Essentially an identical candy bar, it has long been rumored but never confirmed to be a simple rebranding of the short-lived original from 2009. The question continues to captivate candy bar lovers, but to save the confusion of calling it a Thingamajig or a Who's a What's It, we'll just stick to calling it delicious.
I'll eat both.
Purple M&Ms.
My mouth tastes like purple.
In June of 2002, M&M's held what was then a technologically advanced webcast live from a gala in New York City to announce a major change, the debut of a new color. The original color lineup from the 1940s included red, green, yellow, orange, brown, and violet, and fans have fought over which is their favorite ever since. But for the first time since swapping tan for blue in 1995, a new contender would enter the melt-in-your-mouth melee.
Guess what color my tonsils are?
More than 10 million votes were cast in an online poll that included the USA and more than 200 other countries, with purple winning 41% of the vote. The M&M colors at the time were red, yellow, green, orange, brown, and blue, and newcomer purple entered the mix in August 2002 for a limited edition run.
No holes barred. There's no limits. I can do
No limit.
Reese's Crispy Crunchy Bar.
Crunchy and crispy and stuff.
Over the 95 years of Reese's, perhaps this decade was the most innovative. We saw plenty of creativity from the two simple Reese ingredients in and around the 2000s, like the 1998 debut of Reese's Sticks wafer bars, the 2001 introduction of Reese's Fast Break bar, and the 2004 creation of Reese's Take 5 bar. But the biggest and possibly best was unleashed in 2006 in the form of the Reese's Crispy Crunch bar. The concept upped the game on original peanut butter cups to combine elements of various other bars into one tantalizing titan of a treat.
It's a mutation. It's a very groovy mutation.
This is accomplished by utilizing a flaky peanut center under a layer of classic Reese's peanut butter, which is then topped with milk chocolate and crushed peanuts. The Crispy Crunchy has long outlasted its 2000s roots and can still be crunched on today. And true to its larger-than-life looks, it's best enjoyed in king-size bar form, which makes it fit for a king no matter which decade they ruled in.
All hail to the king!
Reese's Whips.
I'm whipped.
Move over, Indiana Jones. It's time to really crack that whip. Hitting store shelves in 2007, the Reese's Whips bar attempted to be a more health-conscious version of the traditional candy bar, and maybe even its hefty sibling, the Crispy Crunch, by suggesting that it was lighter than air and a little less heavy than the classic peanut butter cups.
I'm afraid I'm gonna need proof.
Filled with a Three Musketeers-styled, fluffy, whipped nougat instead, the bar was marketed to have 40% less fat than its competitors. However, that bar still carried 230 calories thanks to 7 of its 9 grams of fat being saturated fats, which was still very much in the ballpark for any other standard bar on the rack. With that, Reese's cracked the whip on whips, and they were discontinued at the end of the decade.
Whipping around inside me.
Scooby-Doo fruit snacks.
Scooby-Doo can doo-doo.
While the fruit snacks craze dominated recesses and lunchtimes in the prior decade of the 1990s, they were still making waves by the time the calendar turned to the double zeros. But the most defining fruit snack of the new millennium has origins stretching back even further to 1969 and the debut of the Scooby-Doo Where Are You? Saturday morning cartoon series.
You guys know about Scooby-Doo?
The show was adapted for a live-action movie in 2002, and along the way came the inevitable cross-promotions that included the release of Scooby-Doo-themed fruit snacks, otherwise known by the show's popular term, Scooby Snacks. As Fred and the gang's fruity fave, these 2000s treats have continued to roll their mystery machine onto store shelves even today.
Great, well, Scooby-Doo.
Kellogg cereal straws.
Super straw.
Okay, we already know what you're thinking, but cereal isn't candy, it's cereal. While typical box cereal might be part of a complete breakfast, its usually high sugar content could certainly place it in both camps. A serving of today's popular cereals can contain as much or more sugar than some candy bars. So in 2007, Kellogg's went all in with the release of Kellogg's cereal straws.
And I'm gonna stab my mouth out with these shards.
Ditching the bowl and the breakfast designation entirely, these straws made out of cereal could be eaten by themselves or used to add flavor when you sucked up your after-school glass of milk. The controversy over playing fast and loose with a sugary snack as the most important meal of the day eventually led to cereal straws being discontinued in 2009 after only 2 years on the market. But fans wouldn't take no for an answer, and a series of online petitions brought these totally 2000s tubes back to store shelves in 2021. After all, since breakfast for dinner is a thing, it stands to reason candy for breakfast can be too.
I decide which one I want when I want to eat it.
All Kinds of Aero.
Aero bar!
Originally released in the 1930s in the United Kingdom, the aerated Aero bar may be hard to find in the US, but elsewhere it's become a bubbly chocolate sensation. The usually strictly chocolate bar got a new twist when 1959 saw the introduction of the peppermint Aero, but it wasn't until a new millennium rolled around that Aero saw fit to really tinker with its time-tested recipe.
We've been waiting so long for this.
A white chocolate variant called Aero Snow came out in 2000, with Aero White right behind it in 2001, featuring a regular chocolate shell around a white chocolate bubble middle. A limited edition Cranberry Aero had brief runs in both those years, and then 2004 introduced us to Aero Caramel. A chocolate truffle Aero hit store shelves in 2006, and packets of Aero hot chocolate powder bubbled up in our drinks that same year. The original Aero will likely never be topped, but fans enjoying the experiments of the 2000s were sure to always be in a bubbly mood. Snickers.
Eat a Snickers. Why? You get a little cranky when you're hungry.
The birth of Snickers stretches back a full 7 decades before the 2000s even started, but it was still generationally defining by the 2000s, just in a way you might not expect. Despite usually being one of the best-selling candy bars on the planet, and sometimes topping that list at number 1, the 2000s were not kind to Snickers. Over the years, Snickers was even popular enough to be globally recognized as an official snack food sponsor of the Los Angeles 1984 Summer Olympic Games. But perhaps overconfident, the brand started putting less effort into advertisements and was in a desperate spot after the turn of the century. From 2006 to 2009, Snickers' global market share had plummeted by 10% and opened the door for the competition to take over in its place.
Sales are way down because of them.
Brand advertising became desperate and nonsensical, and the numbers reflected it. 2007 was packed with poorly received and abstract ad campaigns, including commercials featuring offbeat car mechanics, and then another showing a group of pilgrims, Vikings, and Romans on a road trip. That same year, a limited edition green nougat Snickers bar tie-in with the film Shrek the Third failed to catch the attention of either humans or ogres. And the year prior, in 2006, 1980s celebrity Mr. T failed to sell Snickers in the UK with the questionable tagline,
"Get them nuts!"
Snickers finished out the decade with a whimper, and it wasn't until 2010 when they turned things around with the now famous "You're Not You When You're Hungry" advertising campaign that would see Snickers reclaim 15% of global sales within just 2 years, leaving both hunger and the brand's bad luck behind in the 2000s.
I am full of it tonight.
Take a bite out of more great videos. Take your pick and just tap or click.